This episode of the Extraordinary Keys for Life with Julia Anais is brought to you by Synergy for the Soul, working together to help you shift paradigms, envision a better life, empower your mind to live a better version of life through educating via workshops, retreats, and events. For more information, head to our Facebook page, Synergy for the Soul.
Hi, welcome to the Extraordinary Keys for Life podcast. I'm Julia Anais, author of Extraordinarily Ordinary, Eyes Wide Open to Wonder. Mind power, the topic of today's conversation. It is one very big subject. You know, when I wrote my book, I was very focused on penning thoughts at that point as I discovered the knowledge which was changing my life. I didn't particularly realise that the story which we tell ourselves is the most important of all. Despite always feeling I knew the great power that the mind held, and even including words to that effect in the intro to my book, I found the topic of mind power one that has especially been an important learning curve. Even more so since training in instant and rapid hypnosis in recent times. You see, I've come to understand the life you live is created mostly by the story you tell yourself. Did you know your mind holds the keys to the script for your life? It's proven that what is held in the mind directly contributes to the life that plays out in our reality. Did you know each person processes in their own unique way by innate and individual filtering of information, i.e. visual, auditory, kinesthetic? If you're not sure what that means, don't worry, because I wasn't either until my learning led me to become certified in instant and rapid hypnosis, which is collectively inclusive of the concepts, principles, techniques and methods of hypnotic communication, advanced accelerated learning and rapid success technologies. I found the mind can seem both a complex and complicated tool, largely because most of us don't understand how much power our mind holds over our lives. The dictionary defines complex as consisting of many different and connected parts, containing both real and imaginary parts, and complicated as consisting of many interconnecting parts or elements, intricate, i.e. a complicated stereo system. The mind really is the greatest and most powerful tool we're given to navigate this life with. It's obvious and well known that most everything stems from the mind. We all know the mind gives directions via the nervous system, right? I've become a great believer in Buddha's testament. The world is a looking glass. It gives back to you a true reflection of your own thoughts. Rule the mind or it will rule you. Good news is, science has shown that due to neuroplasticity, our minds can be rewired. And you're never too old. Have you ever heard of 21 repetitions create a new habit? You can actually begin changing your mind by choosing new habits and continuously acting on them. On repeat. New knowledge has recently shown that all the neurons connect in the mind and form basic networks of electrical circuitry. With this new knowledge, we can see it offers a key to understanding mind-body connection, and that it potentially offers opportunities to vastly improve your well-being. Learning hypnosis helped me gain an even deeper insight to the workings of the incredible mind which for the most we have access to. Taking control of my subconscious mind has helped me enormously, bringing into my awareness a much vaster scope of possibilities that are available when the mind is better engaged. Interestingly, the subject of mind power in my book Extraordinarily Ordinary was initially inspired by the chapter which describes my personal health challenge with rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune disease which plagued my body and was kept under some form of control and general ease with strong medication for 13 years. Somehow my body found relief and the disease went into remission. I no longer take the meds and I credited overcoming this largely to the power of the mind. This was before I knew what I know now. If you know how to drive a vehicle, you'll appreciate how the subconscious works. You see, it is the subconscious mind which takes in the learning and instruction and forms a pattern which our intelligent mind knows how to replicate every time we need it, e.g. driving a car, allowing the thinking mind to focus on all that's happening around us during the auto-driving operation of the vehicle. Personally, I began bringing my mind into check with meditation. Simply stilling yourself and settling the mind to some degree is in a sense giving you a level of access to attend to the weeds in the mind. The level of access which will allow you to instigate real change is mostly to do with the brainwave state which your mind enters, and there are several methods to effectively help with this. So now, I'm really pleased to welcome hypnosis trainer Darren Stevens, who is internationally recognised as a certified TLT trainer and clinical hypnotherapist, NLP trainer and design human engineering rapid success technologies, and a successful business mentor, entrepreneur, as well as a best-selling author of a great many books. Let's have a chat with Darren and explore some of the key things to consider regarding your mind.
The topic today is mind power. Since my youth, I've always spoken of the unknown power of the mind. And when I came to you and did the hypnosis training, my understanding of the mind deepened even further, which was really interesting because I'd always been pretty open-minded. But the funny thing was, I thought I was going to train as a celebrant, and then the opportunity for the hypnosis class came up. So I did a quick switch, changed my whole outlook and opened my mind even further. It was quite a breakthrough for me. The benefit of hypnosis and understanding the mind more was a real eye-opener for me, especially when you explained how the subconscious mind has us locked into where we are. I just wondered if you could expand on that.
Part of my ongoing growth as well was developing my own mind and the power of the unconscious mind, or subconscious as some people will call it as well. And one of the things that I learned along the way is as I was going to courses and seminars and listening to podcasts and different things to grow my success, one thing I seen as a universal thing amongst successful people was the ones that were really super successful actually had mastered understanding how their mind works. And they said their success really came and started here first from their mind. And once they were able to work on that and deal with that, that brought the outward success. But it started internally first. And so that was my introduction. So I went on a growth path looking for leaders and people that were experts in the field of neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, a whole range of mind techniques to be able to expand my own skill set. And it certainly did. It changed my life. It helped me become successful and a multimillionaire at a young age. And so I've been doing that now for a long time, helping other people on that journey, because really the only thing that holds us back in life of achieving whatever it is that we want is ourselves. Right. And the story we tell ourselves, which I know, from your great podcast and your teachings, is so much about, well, what is that story that you tell yourself? Because that is either helping you grow and succeed, or it's limiting you and stopping you from being successful. And that all starts in the mind. And so that's when I got fascinated around that. And I went and learned from people like Dr. Richard Bandler, who was the founder of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. He was also a very famous hypnotist. And then I went and learnt from some other famous hypnotists many of them have passed away now, and learnt the skill sets of hypnosis, because hypnosis was one of the ways that you could tap into your unconscious mind and resources and make changes so that you could really grow and expand on whatever it is that you wanted to achieve in life, from an emotional point of view, a spiritual point of view, or a physical point of view, and become an exciting journey for me, and certainly became very financially rewarding as well because of those skill sets.
Certainly mindset has a lot to do with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mindset has it's probably 99% to do with virtually everything that you do. If you can get that part right, and people should be getting a coach or a mentor like yourself that has been on that path and journey and knows what to look for, because you can just make those little tweaks from a mindset point of view. And if you think about it from even a sports analogy, one of the famous tennis players who's Nadal, or one of the famous tennis players, when they have coaches in the coaching and from the sidelines, those coaches are giving them the little mindset tweaks or helping them make those shifts so that they can actually win a game. Really, so much in life is a mental game.
Yeah.
Right? I often give the scenario in some of my seminars is, think about this, what stops you from holding you back is if I laid out across the ground a 2-foot wide plank of wood, it was like a flat board and it was laid on across the ground, could you walk across that 2-foot wide plank? And most people go, yes, no problem at all. And I go, okay, great. Now we're going to raise it, and now it's 8 feet off the ground. Could you still walk across it? A lot of people will say, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I say, okay, we're going to raise it. Now it's 20 feet off the ground and it's 20 feet up in the air, the same 2-foot wide plank. Can you walk across it? And some people are starting to now go, oh, no, I don't think so. Well, why not? And they say, well, because I might fall. And if I fall and I'm 20 feet in the air, I could really do some damage. I could break my legs. I could hurt myself. What happens is in their mindset, they've put a limit on it. Their limitation is, let's say, 20 feet in the air. And at that stage, their mind's going, oh, okay, this is too dangerous, could fall, could hurt myself, better not do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they've just got a limit there now. And so they're not going to be able to push past that because fear is going to kick in. They're going to start to tell themselves a story. That story is, well, hey, you can't walk across it now because this could happen or that could happen. You could hurt yourself. Yet it's the same bit of wood. It's the same 2-foot wide plank that they could walk across when it was on the ground. So the only thing that changed, the wood didn't change, was their mindset and their belief system around what could happen. What happens is we go through life like that and we put barriers up and go, oh, I can't earn $500 an hour or $1,000 an hour, or I can't become a millionaire, or I can't make $100,000 a year. You've got a barrier, a comfort level where you're comfortable knowing what you think you're worth. And the trouble is, in society, most people have really self-doubt and a lot of self-worth issues, so they don't believe they're worth things. And the ones that become truly successful financially, emotionally, spiritually, actually have good self-esteem, good self-worth. They believe in themselves. They have self-love, right? Self-love is a really big one as well, and that confidence. That comes around at the unconscious level. And often we get messages when we're children or child, or it can be from a past life, that actually puts in those barriers at an unconscious level that actually limit us. And they limit who you can become if you let it. But if you, like I said, if they listen to podcasts like yours, or they get some connection with you and do some of your programs, I know you help people release that just like I have, so that they can reach for the stars and actually get the stars, so but it does come down to making a shift at an unconscious level.
I remember you saying most everything comes back to the beliefs that we've had put in at a young age. And there's a whole thing around the brainwave state and how we absorb information and how we take that all on board, which creates these patterns of mindsets.
Yes, that's right. We have the alpha, beta, delta, and theta brainwaves. And if you do meditation or you go into a meditated state, that's putting you into a state which is more of a hypnotic state where you can actually tap into your unconscious resources. And I know you know this is when I describe the unconscious mind, I often say to people, listen, think about back in the pirate days and you had a pirate ship, for example. You have a captain and you have the crew. If I say to people, well, who's in charge of the ship? Most people say, well, the captain's in charge. But I would then say, well, who does all the work on the ship? And of course, most people would answer, well, the crew do all the work and the captain gives the orders and bosses people around and tells them what to do. But the crew are the real workers. And how I explain how the unconscious mind works is that, okay, well, you know what? The captain of the ship, if he, for example, treats his crew really badly on a ship and he's treating them really poorly, what happens back in those days of a pirate ship? What would you say?
The crew would all make a noise.
Yeah, they'd have a mutiny, right? There'd be a mutiny on the ship, right? Now, if there's a mutiny on the ship, who's now taking control of the ship? The crew.
The crew.
That's right. The captain's no longer in, because the captain's one person, right? But the crew's a number of people.
Yes.
So now the crew are in control. And that's what happens because with people in life, you have this mutiny happening at the unconscious level because the captain, for this example, is your conscious mind. That's your, everyday mind that you're making decisions and that you're aware of and at a conscious level. But the crew are all of the parts inside your mind. They're the parts that tell your heart to beat. It's the parts that look after your body. It's telling your blood to pump through your veins, and it's telling you to breathe. It's keeping your immune system strong. It's the little voice inside your head that tells you don't go down that dark alley because that could be dangerous. It's that intuition, your unconscious talking to you. And most of us, because we've been taught through the years that, people that talk to themselves are crazy people. No, they're actually not crazy, because you need to talk to your unconscious mind. Because if you don't and you're not communicating with it, then you're not treating it really well. So you're going to have a mutiny happening inside your head. And I would ask your listeners listening to this podcast, have you ever procrastinated? And if you've ever procrastinated and you go, I really want to do this, but then there's a part of me that doesn't, or I can't really make a decision, guess what? That's just telling me as a hypnotist that you've got two unconscious parts in conflict between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. You've got these parts that are arguing, right? So you're procrastinating, you can't make a decision. And a big part of the community or the world is in that place. And the reason they are is because they're not communicating effectively with their unconscious, saying, hey, listen, you're unconscious, you're doing a great job, you're keeping me healthy, you're keeping me safe, you're helping me achieve my weight loss goals or my fitness goals, or I want to fall pregnant. When I've dealt with so many different people in different issues where they can't fall pregnant perhaps, well, often that's an unconscious thing that's happening because they've got a conflict at an emotional level about becoming a new mum or giving birth, or there's something often that's happening in our lives at an unconscious level. And the only way to really, truly make change of any significance is actually at the unconscious level. Because you can have all the willpower you like to say, I shouldn't eat that chocolate bar, but there's a part of you that goes, I'm going to eat that damn chocolate bar, even though I know it's not good for me and it's going to put weight on and I really want to lose weight, but I can't because I've got to eat the chocolate bar. Yeah. Well, that's because you're consciously trying to will yourself not to eat the chocolate bar, but at the unconscious level, the unconscious part says, no, I'm going to eat the chocolate bar because that makes me feel good.
Yeah, I heard something recently about our unconscious mind likes to keep us in our comfort zone. So if eating chocolate makes us feel comfortable, then our unconscious is going to allow us to just do that. It makes a lot of sense. It was a motivational speech or something, and it was talking about how it's very hard to motivate yourself because your mind actually has the final say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think meditation and hypnosis are so powerful, because it allows you to actually connect with yourself and at the unconscious level.
Yeah, certainly. That's what started for me, was when I started meditating and just started paying attention to what everything was trying to tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you really tap into that, you become so much more enlightened and aware, and you can attract way much more into your life. I went on that path looking for success, and the gurus out there that I learned from over the years, they all said, listen, work on your mindset first. And I know for me, before I actually became financially a millionaire myself, and I don't say that to brag in any way, it was one of my goals and I achieved that. But the only way I achieved it was because I actually had to become a millionaire in my mind. And I'm just using this for the illustration purposes for everyone else, whether it's $1 million or $100,000 or $100, for me to feel like I was worth that, I actually had to make the shift at the unconscious level in my mindset first. So I had to see myself as being successful, being able to afford to buy that nice car or that nice house or have that money in my bank account long before it actually really materialized.
Yeah, I like that saying, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Yes, exactly. And I think the more you get comfortable with actually talking to your unconscious mind, meditating, trusting in your own self and your inner guidance, it will actually guide you and set you free. Absolutely. But you need to let it. And so much of our conscious mind is always like the gatekeeper. It's trying to stop certain things. But unconsciously, that will protect you, right? So, but you need to communicate it. You need to nurture it. You need to tell it what to do. You need to say, like I do when I meditate, I will actually give my unconscious mind instructions. I'll say, hey, listen, I've got a meeting tomorrow. I need some great creative ideas for this meeting. I want to be able to really blow my clients away with my creativity and the things that we're going to come up with for them. Unconsciously, while I'm sleeping tonight, I want my mind to work on all those different ideas and give them to me in the morning when I wake up.
And that works.
Absolutely it works.
I found that.
So because your unconscious mind doesn't sleep. It's awake 24 hours a day, because if it did, you'd stop breathing, because they tell your heart to stop beating. You'd stop breathing. So you've got these parts inside you, but most people aren't utilizing them.
No, true.
They're just letting them run rampant.
Yeah.
So you need to rein back control by actually communicating at that unconscious level. And you can do that by obviously connecting using hypnosis. You can connect by meditating. You could sit down on the beach and dream. But it's really important having that quiet time and that space for yourself, or getting yourself a mentor like yourself that can help guide them in that process. Because honestly, that is one of the fastest ways to create success at every level in your life, whether it's from a relationship point of view, a financial point of view, a health point of view. Having dealt with literally thousands of people around the world now, I've seen patterns to success, patterns to health, patterns to relationships. And it comes back to those unconscious parts when you communicate with them and give them a voice and find out what's really going on at the unconscious level, is when you can make that significant change to create the life you truly want. And I know you've got some great free journals and free resources that you've been creating that can really help people on that. And I really would encourage people to do journaling, to be able to connect with you, to get some of those resources, because I know that can have a profound effect as well.
Absolutely. The journaling has amazed me. It's just something that I was drawn naturally to do. And the amount of times that I've manifested something in my life and then gone back and seen that I wrote it in the journal, and I thought, oh, and it's helped me shift mindsets. It's an amazing tool, and it's a lot of great minds have used journaling over the years. It has a huge value, which is often dismissed. Bringing those thoughts out onto paper has
yes, because it's a way of also tapping in at the unconscious level, because you're also tapping into another part that we all have. We have visual, auditory, and kinesthetic resources that we use in our mind. So some people process more visually, some more auditorily. And to give you an example of that, if somebody's processing visually, they tend to talk really fast. They use their hands. They tend to make pictures inside their mind about what it is they're talking about. They breathe from the top part of their lungs when they're in that visual state. So they'll use visual words, for example, in their language patterns. They might say, oh, look, Julia, I really want to show you this, because that way you'll see how good that's going to be for you in the future when you can see it. And let me paint you a picture of what that's going to look like. Yeah. So I've used look, paint you a picture, see. I've used all these visual words. The next part is some people are using their auditory senses as more of a primary sense. So it means they tend to talk to you and they'll have their head tilted slightly to one side because they're lending their ear to you. And they'll talk in auditory words, like they'll say, oh, look, that really sounds like a good idea, Julia. I think we should talk more about this. And so I really want to listen to what you've got to say, because that way I can sound it out myself to see if it makes sense. So they're going to use auditory words. And then you have some people that are processing more kinesthetically. All right. So that means that in their body, to make sense of the world, they have to feel it. So it's an internal thing. So they might say, they don't necessarily have to look at you when they're talking to you. They may even look downwards. And their tonality is more monotoned and more slower paced, like I'm talking now. It's much more measured and a slower pace. And they'll use kinesthetic words, like get a good gut feeling about this podcast.
Yes.
And it really feels good on the inside. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. So for them, it's through touch and feel and sense. That's how they make sense of the world. Now, we have all three. We all have visual, auditory, and kinesthetic processing ability. However, we operate out of a primary one. So some people are going to primarily operate out of their visual senses. All right? But as an example, they've been out, had a really wild night or a party and exerted a lot of energy. The next day, they want to lay in bed and they're tired and lethargic and they're more kinesthetic. They don't want to get out of bed and things. So we have all of these. However, you do operate out of a primary one. And a good way to be able to make sense of that is when you're building rapport with people. If you're talking to somebody that's processing visually, then to build a real strong connection at the unconscious level with them, to really be able to feel connected to that person, you want to build rapport visually. So you use the same words, you speed up, so you're matching their tempo. Visual, you're using the same words, you're connecting at that level. All right. If it was auditory, then you're going to be a bit slower paced, more measured, and you're going to use auditory words, matching their body language. And then kinesthetic, well, again, you need to slow down even more. And I'm sure people listening to this will have noticed different people, the different styles of personalities that they've come up in contact with operate out of these different zones.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just as with music, if you listen to certain songs, there's certain songs that people love and some that they don't. Yet somebody else will love a song that you don't like and they love it. Well, because that song may have been written in a visual sense, so the words and the beat and everything else connects with you and your visual senses, as opposed to a song that's more kinesthetic that may connect with somebody else. And this is happening all around us. People that are in the know that use these great influences of the world understand, well, if I'm going to give a presentation to a group of people, in the audience I may have a mixture of people that are processing visually, auditory, or kinesthetic. So I need to make sure my presentation has got some visual images in it, that I'm using visual words, that it's upbeat and faster paced. Also, it needs to have some downtime where it's a bit slower, more perhaps group interactivity, where people are connecting, or maybe I'll get them up for a massage, because then all the kinesthetic people will go, oh, this feels great, and they're getting it in their body. I'm interacting with all the different senses so that I'm connecting at a deeper level with all of the audience. Otherwise, I'm really only talking to one audience, one section of the audience, and I'm disconnecting with the others. So these are really important skills that you should know to be able to build relationships, strong relationships with people in life and business and on a personal level. Think about the people that are listening to this now. Think about this in your own life. Is your husband or wife or children, how do they process? Are they visual? Are they auditory or kinesthetic? And how are you communicating to them? Because the old saying is, oh, well, do what you like to other people. That actually isn't necessarily correct, because if I want to connect with my children, then I'm going to talk to them differently based on their personality styles, so that I can connect at a much deeper level with them. So some of my children process kinesthetically. So when I'm communicating with them, I'm very much, oh, let me give you a hug and connect, much more touch, much more kinesthetic feeling, whereas some process more visually. So I'm using a visual sense when I'm connecting with them.
So it's how they receive it.
Yes, that's right. I'm giving them what they need, not necessarily what I need, because I want to connect with them so that they feel loved and they feel valued.
Which often in life hinders a lot of things, because people are so busy focused on what they need, they don't realise that they're trying to put their needs on others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so important to know this from a goal setting point of view as well, because at the unconscious level, coming back to planning and achieving the goals you want, if I was to ask, and I'll ask you and your audience, is think about this. How do you know when you're going to be going on an overseas holiday? How would you know when that's really going to happen for you?
When you've made the plans, when you booked the flights and you...
Okay, so when you've booked the tickets, then you know that you're going.
Yeah.
Okay, well, somebody else listening to this, they may be going, oh, well, it's not until we arrive at the destination that I would know that I'm truly going on that holiday. Some people, it'll be, well, the moment I had that plan inside my mind and that goal, I knew I was going. For some, it was when they bought the tickets. Yeah. Some was when they landed. Some for when it'll be when they're getting on the plane at the airport. If we ever get back to flying again. So how will you know when you've achieved that goal? So when you're setting a goal, you need to know what it looks like at the unconscious level for you to know you've achieved it, because your unconscious mind is there to actually protect you, to help you achieve what you want. But unless you actually can put that in your goal setting process when you're planning, going, okay, I truly want to achieve this, whatever that goal may be, and what is the last step for you to know that you've achieved that? You need to be able to visualize that and put that inside your own unconscious mind. You go, now I can truly see myself having that goal.
Yeah.
But unless you understand to know how to communicate with your unconscious level to do that, then a lot of people don't ever achieve their goals because they haven't actually set it up to win. So they haven't actually taken the time out to put those processes in place in the first place.
So when I say, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, there is quite a process before that actual seeing it in your mind becomes a certainty, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's right. You have to actually have to see it in your mind and actually see, well, what is the last step so that I truly believe it now inside that I've achieved that. So then when you're visualizing you having that goal, just like when I was talking about before, for me, I had to see myself having that success or that income in my mind first and truly believing it before I actually attracted that into my life to become a real reality. And so no matter what it is that you want, maybe it's you want to lose 10 kilos or 5 kilos or whatever it is, you have to, well, what's the step? How will you know when you've truly lost that weight? Well, it's when you're looking in the mirror perhaps and you can see your ripped body, or you can get that bikini or dress that you wanted. What's the step for you? It's not about just going on a diet or setting some goal. It's about actually understanding the process unconsciously for you truly to be able to achieve that.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, because I remember I lost quite a lot of weight and my clothes were getting baggier and people around me started saying, have you lost weight? But I didn't feel any different. And it took me quite a while to look in the mirror and actually see that weight had gone. I still could see myself as I was.
Exactly. And that's a really valuable point. And that's why having a coach like yourself is so important, because it's that external person that can see those things that you can't see, that gives you those little adjustments that you can make at the unconscious level as well, that absolutely makes all the difference to your success, whatever that success that you want is.
Well, they say we don't see ourselves the same way as others do. I remember early in my development, someone said to me, I wish you could see what I see. And I do now, but it's taken quite a few years. So it's the whole mindset process is certainly available. Definitely we can't do it on our own. It takes quite a lot of mentors and support people.
Yes, it does. And that's the smart way to get there. Fast way is to get a mentor, to listen to great inspirational people like yourself and that are interviewing people to get those gems, and because hopefully people are taking away just few of the points that we're talking about here that we've spent a lifetime developing and learning and adapting and testing, and you can take this information, apply it and get amazing results really quickly. And you don't have to wait that long, because literally these are the keys to success. I often say one of the keys is getting clarity. As soon as you get clarity, that's the first step. Once you get that clarity, that leads you to have more certainty. All right. And when you've got more certainty, then that leads to you having more confidence. And because you've got more confidence, you tend to take more action. And because you take more action, guess what? You end up with more success. But it starts with getting the clarity. And the clarity comes down to mindset. What is it that you really want? I remember someone applied for a general manager's position at one of my companies years ago. And they came in and I asked them, I said, so why do you want to leave the company that you're currently working at? Because they were still employed somewhere else and they were applying for a general manager's position with us. And I said, why do you want to leave that position? And their answer was, they said, I don't think I can truly achieve the level of success that I truly want at this current job. And I said, okay, so what does success look like for you? Well, then they stumbled a little bit and they couldn't really answer that. And they said, I'm not really clear, I'm not really sure what the success would look like. And I sort of said then politely to them, I said, well, look, I don't think the position here is going to work for you either, because you can't define what success looks like. So you're not going to find it where you're currently working, because you actually don't know what it looks like. But how do you know you haven't already had it? If you can't define clearly what your goal or what success looked like for you, then the job you're currently in isn't going to deliver it, because you won't know if it did deliver it. You can't see it in front of you. And you're not going to achieve that here. So I could employ you and you're going to last for a few years here, and then you're going to say, I'm not going to get the level of success that I'm looking for here either. And then you're going to move on, and I've invested all this time and money in training you, and you're going to move on because you can't define what it looks like. So you wouldn't find it here either. And he was a little bit shocked by that. But I think so many people go through life going, I really want this. But if they don't know what it really looks like with absolute clarity, then they're never going to get it. Your unconscious mind is lazy. It's going to do the minimum thing to get you what result that you ask it to. So if you say, I want to be wealthier tomorrow, the moment you get 1 cent more than what you had today, tomorrow, then it's going to stop trying to attract wealth because it's achieved your goal. Your goal was you wanted more wealth. Well, you got 1 cent more than you had today. So now your unconscious mind goes, okay, I've done my job. I'm going to stop now.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you'd said, I want an extra $100 tomorrow, or it's going to keep working to attract that into your life until you get the $100. But again, this is why it's so important to journal, to set goals, and to reset goals. And because once you've achieved those goals, you need to have other ones that are going to follow on from that fairly quickly, because otherwise you're going to stop that momentum, that flow that happens at the unconscious level of achievement and self-satisfaction, because once you've got that, then everything stops. Your unconscious doesn't need to go anymore.
I feel like I want to say it's almost like your mind is magnetic.
Yes, well, let's face it, it creates an energy field and the law of attraction. And as you know, with energy, like a magnet, the more charisma and the more energy field that you create in your own body and in your own being, you attract more into your life. And I think for people that when we talk about energy levels, I often give the scenario of when people go into a room and two people have been arguing, right? Because you can't see energy, but you can feel it. Yeah. And you go into a room and they've been arguing. When you come in, they're not arguing anymore. They're putting on a brave front because you're there. But you innately sense, hang on, there's some friction here. The energy's not right. These people are obviously putting on a bright face, but they're really not happy with each other. Yeah. And I'm sure most people that have been listening to this have had that experience. And the opposite is true. You go into a room where you're around positive people and all of a sudden you might be feeling okay, but by the time you've been around all these positive people, you're pumped up and you're, oh my God, I feel so energetic. I don't need any sleep. I'm ready to party and whatever, because that positive energy has raised your energy levels. Just as negative people deplete your energy level and drain you. And there's a universal balance that occurs, with the universe where it tries to balance energy levels. So you want to hang out with good people. That's why I say, go and find a great mentor, hang out with positive people, because that's going to rub off.
Yes.
It's going to raise your energy level. If you go and you're feeling really positive and you go and hang out with somebody negative, what happens is you're up here really positive and then you feel drained and down, just as if you're in a toxic work environment. I know you shared some of that with me before about if you're around a toxic work environment, they make you feel depressed, they lower your energy, they make you feel sick, everything just comes down. So being happy, being able to keep a steel guard around your unconscious mind where you're in control of that to protect yourself from all the other negative forces out there is really important. And being a part of a community, like I know you've got your health and well-being center community and website that is really powerful because you're with like-minded people, and that like-minded attracts like-minded people and just raises you up. I built communities myself like that because I wanted to be in an environment with other entrepreneurs that would raise me up to a higher standard and keep my energy high. Because as a business owner, as a husband, as a father, you have ups and downs in life. It's not always rosy. You have to deal with challenges in life. The whole world's going through challenges right now with the coronavirus and health issues and things, and businesses collapsing. The only thing you can control is your own emotions, your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own surroundings. And doing that with like-minded positive people is absolutely critical, I think, to your own health and well-being.
Certainly. And then your mind has to be in a state of being able to receive in a better way for your life to improve. You have to be able to, reconcile it in your mind. Your mind has to be strengthened. Yeah,
look, gratitude is such a big thing for that. It doesn't matter how shitty the world is at the moment or what's going on in your life. There's always things to be grateful for. And we do a little process with our family here, and it's every night when we have dinner, we always go around the table and say, okay, what are you grateful for? Well, wherever we start, actually, we say, what is your highlight? So you have to say what your highlight was for the day. What was your low light? If you had one, you don't have to have a low light. All right. But what was your highlight? What was your low light? What are you grateful for? And then what are you good at? Right? Well, there's so many things to be grateful for. We live in Australia as a country is one of the things. We're grateful that we've got healthy food, we've got water, we're not overpopulated. There's so many things that we can be grateful for. I'm grateful that I've got a loving family, that we're all healthy. Grateful that I've got my eyesight. And, there's so many things, but you need to train yourself to be grateful, because gratitude and love and connection is truly the fundamental keys to creating wealth and abundance and success, no matter what level you're at, commercially, in any field. It comes back to that total love, connection, unconscious energy, and that's where, and being grateful and having gratitude. And that's where journaling so good, gratitude journal, and then see yourself evolve, grateful that you're above ground.
You're able to participate in life.
Yes.
And the mind is a huge key to all of that, and what you're feeding your mind, everything is all relevant to with the topic of mind power, and how to better balance your entire, as you said, everything, business, lifestyle, everything.
That's right, because people choose to be happy, choose to be sad, choose to be upset, choose to be angry. It's a choice. It may not feel like that at the time. This person ripped me off and I'm really angry about that. Yes, he did. And, certainly I've had that happen to me. And at the moment, I am angry or upset by something that's happened like that. However, then I take a step back and go, you know what? What can I be grateful for about? And take responsibility, and because that's when you can control those emotions.
And you can make that decision to...
You can choose not to be. And some people, when they lose a loved one, they grieve for many, many years. Well, that's a choice. You can grieve that person, or you can celebrate the life that they had, and that you're so grateful that they were in your life for the time that they were. You don't have to grieve forever.
You can be sad and grieve, but don't get stuck in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It robs your life.
That's right. I remember one time flying to Sydney. I was actually going to meet Tony Robbins, and when we got there, and I was having a private meeting with Tony, and my wife and I arrived in Sydney from Melbourne, and our luggage went missing. It had been put on the wrong flight and sent to Perth, right? So we get there, we go waiting for our luggage. It doesn't turn up. I'm thinking, I'm going to be late to the meeting with Tony. I didn't have any clothes, because they were all in the luggage, right? Like, except for what I was wearing, and I wasn't wearing the clothes that I would have been going to this meeting in. And it was actually, I was really angry at the time, thinking, these airlines, how could they stuff it up just going from Melbourne to Sydney with our luggage, and it's sent to Perth? And we knew, sure, they would send it back, but we weren't going to get it back that day, and it wasn't going to be the next day. So I went, okay. And my wife actually said to me, pulled me out of the slump I was in at that moment, because I was doing definitely angry at the stage. And she said, what can you be grateful for? And ask that question, ask different questions. She said, okay, what can we be grateful for? And we say, well, okay, I guess we can be grateful that we landed in Sydney where the meeting was going to be, and we didn't get sent to Perth. So I guess we can be grateful for that.
Yes.
I guess what else could we be grateful for? We could be grateful for the fact that we've got our wallets and purses and that we've got in money. So I guess we're grateful we can go shopping. I'm grateful I could get to buy some new clothes. Grateful that we're still there on time to be able to get to the meeting. I'm grateful that I'm getting to meet Tony Robbins in person. So afterwards, I started to go, actually, this is not so bad after all. You know what? Hey, we'll get the luggage later. Let's go shopping. We've got plenty of time. We'll still get to the meeting. And it worked out wonderful. And Tony's a good friend, and we've been on stage together and done many things over the many years. And he was a great inspiration for me, but it was one of those highlights. I was grateful that I had the opportunity to get to meet him in person, and that which many people don't get to do. And so there were so many things, but if I had stayed in the state of anger, that would have ruined that whole experience that I was having, that I got to really enjoy. And I probably would have had an angry cloud over my head even going into that meeting. I turned it into something super positive and really exciting, and it was a whole new experience.
Yeah, I think that really sums it up. Basically, we have to remind ourselves sometimes to just take a deep breath and let our minds be at peace with right where we're at in that moment and just deal with that. Because we do tend to react.
We're human beings, but
Yeah.
the more you can learn about how it is to be human and to control your emotions, you're going to achieve so much more success in your life and have a lot more enjoyment in what you do. And I think it's been an honor speaking to you, because I know you've changed so many people's lives with your message. And it was because you took a leap of faith. You had that epiphany. You're now out there, just like I have been, helping people grow, learn, succeed, and giving them the tools and resources that they need to be able to achieve that success. We're all on a journey. I'm always learning and growing and continually doing more, because that's who we are as we evolve. Because then I know the more I learn and grow, the more I can help others. If there's one thing people take away, it's get yourself involved in your community, to hang out with like-minded people, continually to grow, learn, and succeed, to learn about hypnosis, learn about, from yourself, or meditation and energy work, because that truly commercially has made me so much more successful, both physically on the outside with wealth, but inside. Because you can have all the money in the world, but unless you're actually successful on the inside, you're not going to enjoy any of that.
No.
So it starts with the inside. You need to be successful on the inside first.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people miss. A lot of people go, oh, well, I've got to create this. I've got to work all these hours. I've got to create all this wealth and money, or to get the lifestyle they want and to get the person I want in my life. All those, I guess, commercial things. But, none of that matters unless you've got the success on the inside. Yeah. So start with the inside. And if you work on that first, you'll actually attract the other stuff on the outside.
Yes, I was saying that to someone the other day, that often as humans, we tend to be constantly saying, when I've done this, it'll get better. When I get this, things will be better. When I have this, it'll be better. Sometimes we have to just say, this is what I've got right now. And we need to invest more in what is going on internally to correct everything on the outside, and rather than be just trying to reach for things all the time, we need to pay a bit more attention to ourselves and how we're actually, you just reminded me, I heard that Tony Robbins says, we are all able to choose response ability. We all have an ability to respond and a choice. And I think that's quite pertinent to the whole mind game, really.
Yeah.
How we choose to respond in life.
Yeah, absolutely. When I look back, certainly the things that I share with my children and things now, I put my own children, they've been, when they were only, they must have been only 13 years old, I put them through one of Tony's UPW courses. My 13-year-old twin boys, they went through it. All my other kids have gone through it. Did a fire walk at 13 years old, because I know that what's taking me 50 years to learn and to get to where I am, I can fast track that for people now by saying, hey, listen, it starts with the mindset. That first. Everything's going to follow so much faster for you.
Yeah.
And the reality is people normally go out and do the opposite. And then they realize, oh, that's not working and I'm not getting where I am. Now I better work on my mindset. Start out with the mindset. That's actually where it all starts.
Yeah.
And so if people can take one thing away, it's go work on your mindset, invest in your mind, it'll repay you in kind.
I like that. That's a good way to wrap it up, I think.
All right, thank you so much. It's such an honour and a privilege to be on here with you. Love what you're doing, love the work that you do, and it's been a real privilege.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. It's a privilege to have this opportunity to speak with you and have all of those golden nuggets of knowledge and that you've put into practice. So I really appreciate your time, Darren. Thank you.
No worries. Take care.
Thank you for listening in today. Many thanks to my guest, Darren Stevens. You can find out more about Darren's life work and his books at website www.darrenjstevens.com. Music provided by my wonderful son Bradley Button, who you can follow on Instagram at BradleyWButton. I'd love for you to join us for the rest of this series, and if you think someone else you know could benefit, please share this podcast with them. Coming up in episode 8, I'll be sharing with you on topic of manifesting with David Laws, spiritual intuitive, professional guide, philosophical teacher and speaker mentor who quite literally planted the first seeds of wisdom for me. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Julia and Ace and at Synergy for the Soul. Subscribe to YouTube to follow further episodes in this podcast, also available on all your favourite platforms like Whooshkaa, Spotify and Apple. Website is currently in the works, and you can get my book online at amazon.com or barnesandnoble.com. Remember, never underestimate the vibe of life, and you are the pen to your own book. Don't forget to give us a review, and I look forward to joining you again soon in episode 8. Bye now.